The Nutty Professor is a 1996 American science fiction dark comedy film starring Eddie Murphy. Lance Perkins, Eddie Murphy, is hosting an exercise program on TV for overweight people. Professor Sherman Klump, also Eddie Murphy, a kindly, well-liked, brilliant professor of genetics, gets ready for work. Meanwhile, 5,000 hamsters are overrunning Wellman College and causing general chaos. It turns out that these are the school's laboratory hamsters that 400-pound Sherman accidentally released the night before, his fat belly hitting the button that opens the cages when he turned around away from. He then has an unpleasant meeting with Dean Richmond, Larry Miller. The dean tells him that the incident with the hamsters has cost the science department most of its funding. Harlan Hartley, James Coburn, is the school's last remaining wealthy alumnus and is planning to award a $10 million grant to the college. Klump is warned not to alienate him as well. After class, Sherman meets and instantly falls in love with the lovely Miss Carla Purdy, Jada Pinkett, a chemistry graduate student teaching a class across the hall, who is a big fan of his work. Later that night, Sherman dines with his obese and ill-mannered family, most of whom are also played by Murphy. After noticing that he's taking very small amounts of food from the table, Sherman reveals that he's trying to watch his weight and avoid the calories. His father, Cletus, scoffs him, believing that there's nothing wrong with being fat and that while Sherman can do whatever he can, he'll never get rid of his fat. After his mother, Anna, brings up colon cleansing she saw about on TV, Cletus starts his habit of randomly passing gas. Much to the humor of Ernie Sr. and Jr., but to the disgust of Sherman, Grandma, and Anna. Treating this disgraceful procedure religiously, he breaks wind to the point where he has soiled himself 6 times. Sherman is hurt by the comments Cletus makes, but Anna tells him that he is beautiful inside and out, saying that he can do anything if he just believes in himself. This prompts Sherman to attempt to ask Carla out on a date, which she accepts, much to his surprise. While watching Lance Perkins on TV giving one his speeches of motivation, Sherman falls asleep and dreams he is making out with Carla on a beach, but she gets buried in the sand by his weight. Sherman awakens to Perkins telling the viewers to get up and tell themselves, "Yes I can," which Sherman does. Now Sherman is motivated, full of energy, and is determined to lose some weight. The date begins well with Carla showing great admiration for Sherman's work with Shelley. Suddenly, an insult comic called Reggie Warrington, Dave Chappelle, takes over as the show's entertainer after the singers are done with their performance. Reggie heckles many of the other patrons for their odd appearances. Realizing he'll be next, Sherman tries to leave the scene, however, he only catches Reggie's attention sooner, heckling him mercilessly with cruel jokes about his obesity, ruining his night. Back at Carla's home with tears in his eyes, a deeply hurt and humiliated Sherman says goodbye to his date. Carla insults Reggie for what he did to him and tells Sherman that he is brilliant. Later that night, alone and depressed at home, Sherman stuffs himself with junk food while watching Perkins console a fat woman. Sherman dozes off in front of the TV set and has another nightmare in which he becomes a giant, with Reggie being present insulting him again, his mother offering him fried chicken, and his father supporting his fat weight. He lays waste to the city with a single fart which is accidentally lit, causing the town to explode. When he wakes, he finally yields to the temptation to try his new serum on himself. It seems to work perfectly. In seconds, he loses 300 pounds and becomes slim and fit. He goes out, all excited, hyped, and overjoyed with his new transformation, celebrating buying slim clothes for himself, especially spandex. The following day, while still slim, he starts to flirt with Carla, who comes to the lab looking for Sherman, quickly inventing the name, Buddy Love, for his new alter ego. He invites Carla back to the Scream. However, the serum then begins to wear off, i.e. one hand bulking up and his voice returning to normal, and he ushers Carla out. Carla later tells Sherman about Buddy and Sherman encourages her to go out with him. At the Scream, Buddy turns up very late in a brand new Dodge Viper and an angry Carla about to leave. The hyperactive Buddy obnoxiously begs her to go back inside with him, which she gives up to. This time, when Reggie appears, and starts his revenge against Reggie, by heckling him about his appearance mercilessly. Reggie tries to start firing off yo mama jokes to stoop him. However, Buddy once again overpowers him and takes the stage from Reggie. Finally pissed off, Reggie tries challenging Buddy to a karate match, but he is once again overpowered as he performs Minnie Riperton's 1975 hit Lovin' You on the piano for Carla, and forces Reggie to perform her signature high-pitched squeal. He announces, Reggie has left the building. Thank you and good night, before throwing him into the piano. The serum begins to wear off and Buddy makes a quick exit, attributing it to an allergic reaction to Carla's lipstick. Jason happens to be at the bar and notes that the card Buddy is using belongs to Sherman. He follows Buddy into the sports car to confront him, only to learn Sherman's secret when he discovers him in mid-transformation. The next morning, Sherman is very late for a class and his students have all left. The dean, however, is there and he confronts Sherman about the sports car, which Buddy bought on Sherman's faculty account. The dean threatens to strangle Sherman and cut off your air supply until you pass away if he screws up again, and asks him to meet Hartley at a hotel restaurant called the Ritz to describe the weight loss serum. Later, in the lab, Jason tells Sherman that he can't control Buddy, whose testosterone levels keep rising per transformation. Later, Carla talks to Sherman about her date with Buddy and Sherman takes the opportunity to ask Carla to dinner with his family, his confidence low, and, after Carla mentions that she would like to come, he uses the serum again. Jason tries to stop Buddy, but to no avail. Buddy, who is becoming ever more aggressive, takes Carla out on a second date, this time to the hotel where Sherman was to meet Hartley. The dean, looking for Sherman, asks Carla if she knows where Sherman is, but Carla asks Buddy if he could take Sherman's place. With the dean desperate to get the grant, he allows Buddy to talk to Hartley, but with Buddy subsequently taking all the credit for the work, much to Carla's shock and outrage. Hartley and the dean are both impressed, the dean later asking if Buddy would be willing to fill in for Sherman on a more permanent basis and performing a final demonstration for Hartley at the alumni ball the following night. Sherman awakens to find himself surrounded by strange women. He has no memory of the previous night and is stunned to find the whole house in disarray. Carla thinks Sherman is as unfaithful as Buddy to the extent that the two of them actually share women. Sherman tries to explain that it's not what she thinks, but she doesn't listen. To add to Sherman's problems as he chases after her, he finds an eviction notice taped to his front door by his unseen grouchy downstairs neighbor and landlord, Mr. Wilson, owing to all the noise Buddy and the party had made during the night. Jason then enters the scene and tells Sherman that they need to go to the lab. Trying to collect himself, Sherman tells Jason that it needs to wait until later. However, Jason stresses that there won't be a later and a visit to the lab soon confirms that Dean Richmond has fired Sherman, replaced him with Buddy, given him Sherman's ticket to the alumni ball, and gloatingly promises to ruin Sherman. Buddy arrives at the ball 3 hours late and starts acting rowdily. He then begins to make his way to the stage where his plan will be put into place. Back at the lab, Jason regains consciousness just in time to see a warning on the lab computer that Buddy's testosterone levels are at a lethally high 60,000% and darts out of the lab to head for the ball. There, Buddy begins to demonstrate the effects of the serum to the amazed audience. Then, as he prepares to drink the second dose of serum to stay Buddy love forever, Jason runs in and tries to stop him. Buddy punches Jason, but Jason hits back. Sherman starts to fight him for control of his body. Still on stage, he tells the odd alumni that, while he started out wanting to help people, what he did was selfish and foolish and that he has learned that the important thing is to accept himself as he is. He leaves, but Carla stops him. She asks him to dance and he agrees. Hartley then tells the dean that he's decided to give Sherman the grant because he's a brilliant scientist and a gentleman.